It was Daniel, when Daniel prayed to God. And when Daniel prayed, he sent Gabriel. And when he had arrived, some time had come by, and Gabriel told Daniel, when you prayed to the Lord, he sent me. But the devil tried to stop me, and he had to battle out with the devil. That's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. Daniel prayed, and the Lord said, Gabriel, go. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Mediocre Dads podcast, where being mediocre is a choice and you have to refuse to be mediocre every single day. I'm your host, Quan. I go by Q, and on this episode, I just want to take a moment to talk. A lot's been going on, not only in the world, but in my life, and that's, of course, that's what I care about here, but, some things that have, changes that have happened in my life. If you've been keeping up with the channel, of course, that I moved to the state of Colorado, and I left the Army, and it was a big change, and still is a big change that I'm still going through even right now. But it made me think of, have you ever questioned the path that the Lord has you on? He sets the path in front of us. He directs our steps. And when we first become Christians, when you first acknowledge Jesus into your heart, accept him into your heart, and really believe and just want to be changed inwardly by him, you say these grandiose things of just like, I'm wherever your will, your will, Lord, let it be your will, not my will. And you mean those things. And I still mean those things today. But the more you get closer with God, the more your relationship grows, you don't stop saying those things, but you're pretty weary when you say those things, and I don't say this to deter you, to say like that, I'm going to stop following Christianity or stop believing in Jesus and just live your own life and what other things. It's just there's some more caution, because you understand what it means. You understand what that actually looks like. You have, by that point, an experience or experiences that show you like, oh, wow, okay, this is what the Lord's will in my life looks like versus my will in my life, for my life. And so, I remember it was July to October, truthfully, when it was really rampant in my mind, but I was praying, oh man, over and repeatedly, and just talking to the Lord, and because I needed his help. There was a decision in front of me, and I didn't want to make the wrong decision. I didn't want to make the wrong choice. And, submission and surrendering, and he gave me the answer. And the answer was moving to Colorado. Fast forward to January. Let's go back real quick. Fast forward to December. We move out to Colorado. The whole family, we move out to Colorado. And I'm supposed to start working, and the start date gets pushed until the new year, January 5th. And I said, all right, more time with the family. Fast forward again, and my start date gets pushed again. And this is for the new job that I got. And then you fast forward one more time, or not another one more time, another time, they said, okay, end of January. And so at that point, I was really questioning, like, okay, Lord, am I where you want me to be? Is this the place that you had called me to come to? Is this where you wanted me and the family to come to live and start our life and live for you? I started questioning whether or not I had heard his voice, or I was, versus me listening to my voice. And these questions start ringing in my head, these decisions, and the feeling of just being inadequate really starts to weigh on me, because at this time, I don't have a means to pay my bills. um and and I'm getting antsy. I'm getting antsy. I'm getting frustrated. I'm like, oh my goodness, Lord, I did what you told me to do. And now why am I in this predicament of my job hasn't started? It doesn't look like there's a start date in the near future. What is it that I'm to do? Do I need to start? Should I start applying for new jobs and looking for new opportunities? And what could that look like? Should I go to school and can start my master's that I've been talking about starting for, the past 2 years now? So all of these thoughts are going through my head. And as a man, this is, you understand this, you get it, because you're like, okay, I am a provider for my family. My family relies on me to go make enough money to provide for us, to put food on the table, pay our bills, and give them a life that they can enjoy. And you start questioning yourself. I mean, I started questioning myself as a provider, as a husband, as a man, and saying, like, I'm not doing my God given duty as a man in providing for my family. And it could really warp your mind, and make you, and kind of, and I will tell you, it will make you do things that go against who God calls you to be. Decisions, because you want to make rash decisions, and you're like, all right, I got to do this because this, and you're gonna do, and do these things. I'm gonna do these things, and you're just all over the place. And I'll tell you guys, it took it once my job finally started. I mean, I was overjoyed. I thanked the Lord, and I couldn't. I was like, thank you, Jesus, thank you, thank you. But it made me, now I'm here, and it made me think back to that moment of what was the purpose of that time frame. What was he trying to show me that I needed to work on? Or was he trying to show me anything at all? Was it just simply, hey, this is what it is, right? But I believe that he was trying to show me something. I believe that he was trying to open my eyes to something, and that I had told myself that I was okay with, I acknowledged, but I actually hadn't. And this is one of my favorite verses. And I've said this, I read this verse to you guys before, but I'm going to read it to you again. Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness, and let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. And if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given him. But let him ask in faith with no doubting. For the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind. For that person must not suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. That is James chapter 1, verses 2 through 8. That lived with me in this moment. it lived in my brain in this moment. I just kept saying, count it all joy when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know this is testing of your faith. It made me think of when Paul and Silas were imprisoned. And using my imagination, of course, as I was reading this, when I read it, but it was Paul and Silas get imprisoned. Now, the intention behind them being imprisoned is going to be for some time. It's not just going to be the length of time in which it ended up being, which was barely 24 hours. It was barely 24 hours. But Paul and Silas went into that knowing like, hey, we may never get out of prison. I believe, this is what I believe. I believe they went into that knowing they may never leave that prison. But if it was the Lord's will for them to leave that prison, then they would leave that prison. And sure enough, the Bible talks about how they were praying and singing and praising the Lord. And there was a great earthquake that shook everything. And all the lights went out. Where at this time, obviously, it was fire, but all of it went out, and the prison doors of all the cell doors for every jail cell was opened, and the soldier on duty, getting ready, seeing what happened, believing all the prisoners had escaped, getting ready to kill himself. Because he was going to be lamed, and killing himself was better than leaving himself to the Romans, who were going to end up killing him anyway. And Paul and Silas tell him, hold on, we have not left. We are still here. And that same day, that man brought them out of the prison, took him to his home. They told him about the gospel. They told him who Jesus was, what he did for him and all of us. And he believed, and his family believed. And Paul and Silas, they left the prison. They left the home, and that was it. But this is why I think of this, right? This is why my brain goes to this why I tell you this story, or what happened in the Bible. Why I tell you this is because God had already told Paul what he had stored for him, what was going to happen. And he had already outlined him his path, and Paul was following that path. And Paul already had an understanding that he was going to be imprisoned when he went to Jerusalem. He already understood that this was something was going to happen, and this was where his journey, where his spiritual walk was taking him. But he already knew that. He had a relationship with the Lord, that he already knew that this was going to come, right? But of course, in this moment, right, it's kind of one of those things for me where Paul's new his story didn't end there. Silas, similar to Paul in this, probably, I assume, because the Bible didn't tell us, but I assume, knew his story didn't end there. And so here's Quan in January, thinking to himself, like, gosh, oh my goodness, the Lord, where are you, Lord? Why have you forsaken me? You told me to move here. I did what you told me to do. And I know my story doesn't end here, but right now in this moment, it feels like my story ends right here. And it made me realize that we get so focused on the 25-meter target that we forget that the 300-meter target, past that 25-meter target, obviously, but that 300-meter target is saying, hey, this is where I want you to end, where I need you to end up in order for you to do and be the person that I need you to be and do the things that I need you to do. But in order to get there to 300, you got to go to the 25. You got to go through the 50. You got to go through the 100. So on and so forth. You got to go through those. You got to go through those steps, because the person that I am now is not the person that I will be in 5+ years, and when the Lord growing and when I'm growing with the Lord. So, I honestly, man, it was one of those things. I I doubted. I had a lot of doubt, and it frustrated me. I tell you, the doubt frustrated me a lot. It frustrated me because even though I knew the Lord had delivered me from all these situations in the past and like the things that happened before, it frustrated me because I sat there and I said, what, why am I doubting? I know he's got my back. But on that other, it's like the angel and the devil on your shoulder, right? I knew the Lord had my back, but on one side it was like, hey, trust and let God. If he's for me, then who can be against me? But on that other side, it was like, hey man, you're late on another bill. Hey man, how are you going to pay your mortgage? Oh, hey man, you already got enough debt. Can you really afford to go get another credit card? And this is what's one side's biting at the bit, chomping at the bit of the shoulder, just telling me it's not good enough. You got this, you got this, you got this, you got this. The other side, I'm like, just trust me. Galatians 5, it talks about this. The flesh wars with the spirit, and the spirit wars with the flesh, because the flesh wants you to do and believe that you are nothing and inadequate, and it wants you to do all of those evil things and those things that you know that are not good. It wants you to respond and say, like, this is how I should live my life. This is who I should be, because if God is not going to be with me, then I can do whatever I want. It's one of those, I tell you guys, it's one of those things where the realization is, if I had trusted the Lord the entire time, if I had just simply surrendered, it's just let go. My faith would, where my faith would be, it would be increased. It would have increased. And I'm not saying that I failed the test, but I am saying that it's like when you take a test in school, right? And this best score you can get is 100. I got about an 80. And I don't tell you this because I want you to think that your salvation is cued to the testing of your faith, right? The reason for this, and what James is talking about here when he wrote that passage, was understanding that you're going to go through things. Things are going to happen. But just know that when you have Jesus, you have everything you need. And things are going to things might fail, and things will not go the way you want them to, but you still have Jesus. And all you do have to do is lean on him, count him, trust him. If he is for me, who can be against me? Understand how powerful the name of Jesus really is. Not just his name, but who he is. We forget who Jesus is in our times of need, and we so easily fall into fall victim to, oh my gosh, the Lord is he's forgotten about me. When in all actuality, he has not forgotten about you. It was Daniel, when Daniel prayed to God, and when Daniel prayed, he sent Gabriel. And when he had arrived, some time had come by, and Gabriel told Daniel, when you prayed to the Lord, he sent me. But the devil tried to stop me, and he had to battle out with the devil. That's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. Daniel prayed, and the Lord said, Gabriel, go. Let him know I'm with him. Guys, I'm telling you, sorry about that. I accidentally kicked out my thing. But I'm telling you guys, all we have to, there's power in the name of Jesus. It's just like the song. Oh man, so many verses are flowing through my brain right now. But I just want to give you guys some encouragement, because I think in right now, moments like this, encouragement is what's needed. You know, there's a lot of us who are hurting, and we don't know where to point that frustration and that hurt. And a lot of people believe that we have to point and direct that frustration at something or someone in order for it to be released, when in all actuality, we just give it to God. And when you give it to him, he told his yoke is light. You know, I tell you guys that I was just frustrated with myself, because I felt doubt creeping in, and I didn't know how to fight it. I didn't know how to push it away and dismiss those thoughts. I didn't know how to feel or have that feeling, that conquering feeling that I had when I had gotten the news that I had been blessed with a new opportunity in Colorado. I was mad, because I'm like, I want to have that feeling, even in this time of need right now. I want to have that same feeling, because that feeling I know will get me through it. But you know, it's so as cheesy as it sounds, crazy. I was equating God to a feeling. You know, when you were in school, when you were a young person, when we were younger, and if you're younger now, even, when you were in high school, you got in trouble if you were hanging out with your friends doing something you knew you weren't supposed to be doing, and something happened, and the first thought you had generally is, I got to call my parents. Even though you knew, like, oh my gosh, there's going to be so much there's going to be consequences that come with calling them. You knew that if you call them, they would answer. And that type of confidence is the confidence in the faith that I want to have in the Lord. You know, doubting Thomas, and I hope you're following my train of thought here, but doubting Thomas doubted that Jesus had been resurrected. And he said, not until I can put my fingers in the holes in his hands and in his body, that I know it's him. And when he appeared, and he felt the holes, Jesus still had the holes in his body, and on his hands and his feet and in his rib, and Thomas felt that. He said, Lord, And Jesus responded to him, "You believe because you have seen, but blessed are those who believe even when they have not seen." And so this is where I'm at in my life right now, where I don't want to be like doubting Thomas, even though I get it. And it's okay to be like Thomas in this, in particular moments in your life. But as you mature in your faith, in your walk, you have to understand what faith really means. And I want to be like these the patriarchs that we read about in the Bible. Gosh, Paul's faith was on fire. Elijah's faith was on fire. Moses's faith was on fire. David's faith was on fire. There was nothing that could shake them. Even standing in front of Goliath, David's faith was not shaken. He was telling Goliath, "You think you can come against my God with sword and spear?" Listen, guys, God is the same yesterday, today, tomorrow. I believe that. I have seen him transform what he's done for me in my life. I've seen him, how he's transformed others. I've seen him do it. And I can never go back to not believing and doubting. I can't, right? Because I have seen too much. When it talks in Isaiah, the eyes to see and ears to hear. And that phrase is strewed out throughout the Bible. But what I think is so important here is it's not about what your body physically seeing and physically hearing. No, it's spiritual. Spiritually seeing how God sees things and hearing what God is saying. So that's my hope for you guys. I appreciate you joining us on this episode. If you want to support the channel, please, 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 all you have to do is subscribe to the channel and share this with someone you know. If you're feeling even more generous and you want to give monetarily, then go to my link or the description. There's it's called a cup. Give me a cup of coffee, and go to that link and you can donate to the Mediocre Dads and what we're doing here and helping the channel grow, allowing us to purchase some more things to make this more of an intuitive experience for you guys. And if you don't want to just give and donate, go get you some merchandise. We have shirts, we have hoodies, we have all these things on our website. Go get you hats. Shoot, it's back there. I can't get it right now, but if you can see it on the camera, it's over there that way. Anyway, go get you some merch, support the channel. Like I said, guys, ultimately, but if you want to do it free, the best way to do that is simply by subscribing and following us. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. And of course, being mediocre is a choice, and you have to be mediocre every single day. That is all I got. Mediocre Dads out.